Hello! Today I will talk about a very common scam scheme these days that many Ukrainian scammer girls and not only Ukrainian scammer girls use. And this scam is about when girl tells you that she desperately wants to come to your country or to meet you in some European country, but she cannot do that because she has an unpaid credit or mortgage or a loan to a bank or a financial institution in Ukraine. And girl tells you that she desperately wants to meet you, but Ukrainian bank or Ukrainian financial institution put a restriction for her to go abroad. So the question that I get asked many times by my clients, can a Ukrainian bank or Ukrainian financial institution actually initiate such restriction for a Ukrainian citizen to go abroad? Before we begin, please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Answer to this question is yes, Ukrainian bank can initiate such procedure and restrict a person from going abroad, but the procedure is not very easy. Ukrainian bank nor Ukrainian financial institution cannot restrict anyone from going abroad by itself. The procedure is the following. They have to go to the court and prove in court that they lend money to the person and person does not pay them back on purpose. Only in such case bank asks first the court to arrest the so-called immovable and movable property of the person to whom they lend money. So that's real estate, and usually it's a car if person has a car, so immovable property and movable property. And additionally, bank can of course ask the court to restrict the person from going abroad, to initiate such ban for a person to go abroad. But this can be done only through court's decision. Bank by itself, nor any financial institution in Ukraine can initiate such restriction by themselves. Let's talk about how this debt can actually occur. By the way, you can see time codes in my each video, so if some part is not interesting for you, you can simply skip on the other part. And of course, don't forget to like my videos and subscribe to my channel. Usually debts of such scammer girls arise from overdraft on their credit cards. In Ukraine, actually, we don't have credit cards. We have debit cards with a credit limit. But when an overdraft occurs, bank will notify the person many times that that particular person has a credit and must pay it off. Bank will be reminding by sending first one SMS per day. Then they will be sending 2 or 3 SMSs per day. They will be calling that person and asking to pay a small fee to start to clear the debt. If a person ignores all these SMSs, all these phone calls, and does not pay anything, bank sends a registered letter to the registered address of that person. And bank or a financial institution warns that they will go to the court. And in such case, for example, scammer girl can reply within 30 days after she receives that letter. She can send a registered letter to that bank to whom she owes money, and she can say that she will start paying money from, let's say, next month. In such case, bank will wait for 1 more month. Actually, it will be 30 days from when the person receives that first letter. If girl doesn't reply anything to the bank, second registered letter will be sent, and after 2 weeks after girl receives that letter, bank goes to court. I must say that courts in Ukraine are overloaded with civil cases. So from the time when bank goes to court to the moment when case will be listened in court may pass from about 1 month to 5 or even 6 months. Court must notify that scammer girl who has a debt minimum 2 weeks in advance by a registered letter that the case will be listened on that date at that time and the address where it will be actually listened. And if the girl doesn't show up or if her lawyer doesn't show up, well, then bank of course will get the court's decision to arrest all immovable and movable property, so all real estate, land, maybe commercial real estate that she has registered at her name, her car or cars if she has any. And additionally, bank can ask to restrict that person to cross the border. Usually they don't do that because arresting the property is more than enough for them. After bank has the court's decision, they go to the so-called executive service of Ukraine. And then executive service notifies that scammer girl that from now on all her immovable and movable property is arrested. And what does it mean that property is arrested? It doesn't mean that they will take that property away from her and sell it and give the debt back to the bank. No. Arresting the property means that she cannot sell that property or present it to somebody as a gift. And that's it. Once again, usually banks do not ask a court to restrict the person from going abroad, but they may do that, and if they do that, person will not be notified by executive service that they have such restriction now. But executive service will send 2 orders to the Central Border Control Unit in Kiev, as well as to the Migration Service of Ukraine. And Border Control Office in Kiev will put that ban, will put that restriction that person cannot cross the border. But executive service, once again, will not notify of such restriction. Not to make this video long, I will talk in my next video about how it is possible to find out that person has such restriction to cross the border, and it is not as easy as you think. And I will also discuss what can be done if such restriction exists. And I can tell you right now that it is possible not to pay bank a cent and to cancel this restriction. But we'll talk about it in my next video. So let's summarize this video. After the real debt arises, bank will not get court's decision earlier than 4 months after the real debt actually arises. Usually it takes 5, 6, 7 or even 9 months to get the court's decision. Second, most probably bank will not ask court to restrict that person to go abroad, but sometimes it may happen. Third, person will not be notified by Executive Service of Ukraine that they have such restriction to cross the border. So person will not know about this restriction 100%. Fourth, it is possible to cancel this restriction without paying any money to the bank and go abroad. But I'll talk about it in my next video. If you need my personal assistance, help or advice, feel free to email me anytime. I'm always glad to help those people who really need help. If you have any brief questions, feel free to ask them in comments to this video, and I will be glad to answer them briefly. In the meantime, I wish you all good luck, success, happiness, joy, tranquility, and of course, stay healthy and wealthy.